Hello, my name is Sean Shank. This is my Mod 4 presentation. I've chose to look at the use of cellular devices in schools. As we look at the use of cell phones in schools, one of the first issues that comes up concern or are the parental concerns uh, for their children as they are at school. We have their students for 8 hours of the day, and these are their most prized possessions. And with the Unfortunately, with the many instances of school shootings across our country in the last 10 to 20 years, one of the first things that comes up among parents um, is the safety of their students when they're at our school, and the use of cell phones uh, to keep in contact with parents is a big concern for parents during any emergency situations. So it's one of the factors that we have to look into. And I've got some pictures up here from from some of the unfortunately well-known school shootings that have happened, starting with Columbine and then a couple years ago at Chardon High School in Ohio. As we look at the background of cellular devices in schools, it's very easy to see that the use of cellular devices exploded in our world today, especially among young people. These devices have become more convenient, more easily accessible. Also, plans from our cell phone providers are more affordable than ever for families, at least, as you can add many lines onto your plan, and it doesn't increase uh, your payment a whole lot. So a lot of parents are getting them for their students because they are more affordable now. Young people use them not just for communication, but also for all forms of media and for accessing information very quickly. Uh, with the prevalence and proliferation of cell phones in the last few years, school districts need to have a policy concerning the possession and use of cell phones on school campuses. And I think that policy uh, needs to be a living document. It will probably be ever changing as technology continues to grow and the use of technology becomes more common in our schools. Some of the advantages as we look at the use of cell phones on school campuses, first of all, it helps to teach appropriate use of cell phones. I think that's something we as educators can do and help students out with and families with. It helps prepare our students for the 21st century. As we all know, the use of technology is just more and more common. Cell phones is a part of that, and so helping our students prepare as they step out into the real world by teaching them how to use cell phones in an appropriate way is beneficial for them. Also, it helps with communication with parents and or guardians. As we said, in cases of emergencies, they can be very useful in communicating with parents. Can be useful in medical issues and medical emergencies as well. Some students have some medical conditions that warrant the use of cell phones at schools to get a hold of parents or guardians in those cases. Also with trips, I'm a basketball coach, have been for a long time, and one of the things as a coach I love is when about 15 minutes before we get home on a bus trip, I'm telling all our kids to call your parents so that I don't have to wait around for them. Not only is that convenient for me, but it's really good for parents with late nights and also while they're away and at gyms. If there's a band concert, academic bowl, just all sorts of different things, debate teams, all the trips that people or the kids are gone on, field trips as well. It's good for them to be able to contact mom and dad for when arrival or if any other issues arise while on the trip. Um, Also, just for safety issues, um, there are some advantages for that when again some um, emergencies or situations arise at school. There's also a financial advantage for schools. We all know that budgets continue to decrease in our public schools, and the use of technology is expensive. And so allowing cell phones that most students probably have in our schools can be a way for our schools to use technology, and it doesn't cost them a whole lot. And so I think there's some financial advantages for schools in allowing cell phone use. Some other advantages are just the educational uses of cell phones. There are just countless apps, many of which I've used. I've used Pull Everywhere in my classroom just to take some fun little Friday quizzes. We usually would do it on Fridays, and just fun ways for our kids to use technology is in a learning environment, and for them to learn some things, but the using technology they just absolutely love. So some other ones are listed there: Text the Mob, Evernote, Socrative, and of course many others. It allows for immediate information and allows students to research as well on their cell phones. Most of them have web capability. On cell phones, there's also a calculator. You can also download graphing calculator apps onto your cell phone as well, which is great in my Trig per Calc class. There's camera and video, for which you can take a picture of maybe some notes, or take a video of something maybe on the board that the teacher has put up there. There's also calendars so that they can organize their time and use their time more efficiently. And then also it's useful for note taking, whether it's by using the camera or by typing in notes into the phone for later use. Some of the disadvantages of cell phones on school campuses would just be mainly, I think the biggest one among teachers and myself included would be just the disruption in the classroom when kids are receiving text messages or push alerts or whatever it may be. There's just can be disruption if those phones are on. Even if they're put away, just the sound that comes from receiving text messages or phone calls and different things. Also, the conducting of criminal activity on campus. We all probably know situations where some drug use has happened on campus, and the use of cell phone allows for the distribution of those drugs more easily, and there's also the taking of inappropriate pictures. Sexting would be one of those, but even when it's done without somebody's consent. In the bathroom, we've had some instances in some schools I've been where pictures have been taken in the bathroom of people who did not want those pictures taken. That's all criminal activity. There's harassment, whether it's through social media, taking of pictures, texting about a student or whatever. And we know that those things are going to happen outside of school as well, but all that we can do to stop that happening in school, I think, is best for us as educators and as administrators or future administrators. Also, spread of inappropriate material. Again, pornography is just rampant in our society. It's tearing our society apart, and that is easily spread at school. And then also cheating, and not just looking on websites and things for answers. The biggest thing I have found is a quick photo taken on a cell phone of a test, and then that is then distributed when that kid leaves school. We've had many cases of that. Kids are unfortunately very smart at trying to get around the rules. And so there are some disadvantages of the use of cell phones on school campus. Cases regarding cell phones on school campuses have really been 3 that have been heard concerning the use of cell phones. Those cases are Price versus New York City Board of Education in 2007, Laney versus Farley, I believe, in 2008, and then Requa versus Kent School District number 415. All 3 of these cases have upheld the right of schools and their administration to enact policies restricting the use of cell phones on campuses. These policies are lawful if there's evidence of the use of cell phones disrupting the learning environment, evidence of cell phones being used improperly or unlawfully, and if First Amendment rights have not been violated. And the cell phone policies in these legal battles, again, have concerned, or these school policies have been upheld if really 3 things have been shown, or evidence of 3 things have been shown, and that is if cell phones were a disruption to the learning environment, if cell phones are being used in an abusive, improper, or unlawful way, again, taking of pictures or harassment, those types of issues. And also they were upheld if, as long as First Amendment rights of students were not infringed upon. Some possible exceptions to cell phone policies on school campuses. So this would be if there is a policy in place that prohibits the use of cell phones or the possession of cell phones on school grounds, I believe that in the law has shown that there are some exceptions that need to be made in those cases. One would being that students with chronic illnesses or diseases be allowed to have cell phones in case of a medical emergency. Students traveling to different sites throughout the school day, so if kids are attending a VOTEC school or for some reason have to go from one site to another during the school day. Also, students on field trips or school activities. I've mentioned that, so when you're taking a trip and it's after school, going to be home late at night, the use of cell phones can be very helpful to the students and parents, as well as the sponsors or coaches, teachers who are attending the field trip or school activity. Also, students who are involved with extracurricular activities, whether it's a band or athletic practices or debate team, or maybe a group that is preparing for a school play, all those different things that occur after school. It is great if the students can use the cell phones again to communicate with parents about times and pickup times and things like that, and just to know that there is communication between the students and parents puts both of those people's minds at ease. And then also maybe some exceptions for teacher-approved use. So maybe I know that I've been in a school where cell phones were prohibited, but on Friday I got permission from my principal to do a couple of those poll everywhere and use cell phones on those Fridays to do a short little fun quiz or something. So maybe some teacher-approved use. And finally, I just want to end with some of the guidelines that I have, as I researched and read through the book about cell phone policies. First of all, policies should be clearly outlined and distributed to students and parents. That is very important. Next, if bans on cell phone use by parents should occur, or it should occur only if sufficient evidence is documented of their improper, unlawful, or abusive use. Policies prohibiting cell phone use should include exceptions for some of the reasons listed in a previous slide, medical reasons and other extenuating circumstances. Policies permitting cell phone use should include guidelines for the use on school grounds. So even if the school has a policy permitting their use, there's got to be guidelines for their use, or they will be detrimental, I think, to the learning environment of the school. We need to make sure that the policies do not violate students' First Amendment rights. That is very important to stay away from those legal battles. And then lastly, policies should be derived based on fairness, equity, student needs, and educational best practices. Again, the use of cell phones can be very beneficial to the learning environment if used in the appropriate way. So there's some things to consider as administrators as we enact cell phone policies and as the use of technology continues to grow in our schools. Thanks for your time. Have a great Sunday.